As we anticipate the release of the thrilling action-adventure film Divergent, set in a world where society is divided into factions based on human virtues, we could only think of one dessert to make in honor of the new movie, creating the Dauntless chocolate cake. On Just Add Sugar, we're bringing you some of our favorite sugary recipes that are sure to tempt and delight any sweet tooth. So in Veronica Roth's novel, there's a ton of references to the chocolate cake, and one of those is after Beatrice decides not to stay in abnegation and choose Dauntless. But she must keep her reasons hidden, so anytime someone asks her why she left, she says, it was the food. Every time the cake is mentioned, it sounds delicious, decadent, and rich, and 4 is obsessed with it, and I know after you try this chocolate cake, you are gonna be obsessed with it too. To start this cake, we're gonna mix all of our dry ingredients, our flour, cocoa powder, baking soda, baking powder, and salt. Give it a little mix and then set aside. Over here, I've already started simmering our milk on a low-medium heat. I'm just gonna add our vanilla and whisk it in. And then I'm gonna slowly add in our melted chocolate. Oh, this is so luscious. You know, what I love about this chocolate cake is that we're using melted chocolate. So we're making like this chocolate milk that we're gonna put into the batter. Oh, it's gonna be so smooth and yummy. While that simmers over here in our stand-up mixer, I'm gonna start creaming our butter until it's nice and fluffy. Now that our butter is nice and creamy, I'm going to add in our sugar. Now I'm gonna add in our eggs one at a time and keep mixing. Next, we're gonna alternate adding our flour mixture and our chocolate milk. It's Dauntless. Goodness, look how delicious this batter is. You know, this is why it's so important to sift your dry ingredients beforehand, because then you get just yummy batter like that. All right, so now we're gonna pour our batter into 9-inch round cake pans, and because this is a triple threat cake, we're gonna do 3 layers. Then I'm gonna bake these in an oven that's been preheated to 325 degrees for about 30 minutes or until a toothpick inserted comes out clean. While our cakes are baking, we're gonna make a really delicious chocolate buttercream. I'm gonna start by beating our butter on a medium speed until it's nice and fluffy. Add your vanilla, and then once that's mixed together, we're gonna alternate adding our powdered sugar and our cocoa powder. Now the reason why we're adding our sugar a little at a time is so it doesn't produce lots of lumps, so it makes a nice smooth buttercream. Before I add in our milk, I'm just gonna scrape down the sides to make sure that all that butter and sugar and cocoa powder is getting nicely mixed in. And then the key to a really great frosting is to whip it for about 5 minutes until it's light and fluffy. So now that our cakes have cooled, I'm gonna level them off. Now the easiest way to level your cakes is to get right there eye level with the cake. And using a serrated knife, you're just gonna slowly take off that nice little dome shape that the cake has created when it baked. And then I like to save this for a little later when I'm hungry. I think you should too. Shake off those crumbs, looks good. So over here I have a cake board. This is simply just a piece of cardboard that I covered with wax paper. And we're gonna use a little bit of our frosting as glue. And let's put our first layer on. Oh yeah, that looks good. And then we're gonna have frosting on top of the first layer, and that's what I love about layered cakes is when you slice into the cake, you get frosting in every single layer. And it really helps if you buy one of these turntables. You can get them at a craft store. Then you're not fiddling with trying to move the cake while you're frosting it. You can just let this do the work for you. More frosting. Now for the top layer, I flip it upside down so you get that nice smooth bottom from when it baked and put it right on top. We're gonna crumb coat the cake. So using an offset spatula, I'm just gonna go back and forth, covering the entire top of the cake. Great, so now that we have a base of frosting on our cake, I'm gonna put this into the refrigerator for about 30 minutes or the freezer for 15 minutes till the frosting sets. While our cakes are setting in the fridge, I'm gonna show you how we're gonna decorate the cake with the Divergent symbol. It's a really easy trick. All I did was print this out on a piece of paper, and then using an X-Acto knife, I carefully cut around the flames. And now, I'm just gonna trace around the medallion so that I have the Divergent flames for the cake. Now that our crumb coat has set, I'm gonna put the remaining amount of frosting right on top of the cake and smooth it down the sides to finish frosting it. Let all that excess spill over the sides, but this time we want a nice, even coat covering all of the cake. And then to get the frosting around the edges to make it nice and smooth, a little technique that Chef Duff Goldman taught me was to use your offset spatula, clean it off, and then pretend like you're coming in like an airplane, and you're just going to ever so slightly push it down and turn. Oh, now that is a chocolate cake. I cannot wait to decorate it with the Dauntless flames. So I'm gonna put my pattern right on top of the cake, and then using the powdered sugar, I'm just gonna start shaking powdered sugar right over the cake to fill in those spots. All right, now it's time for the grand reveal. Oh my God, this cake is stunning. Take a look at those Dauntless flames. I just know that this cake would make Beatrice proud. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget Divergent hits theaters March 21st. I'm Brandi, and we'll see you next time on Popsugar.